The future of HMO rooms, and I absolutely believe this, is going to be studio rooms. So essentially it's your usual ensuite room. So you start off with your standard double room with a shared bathroom. Then next in terms of demand would be an ensuite room. So it'll be a room with its own bathroom. Next, and these are all bills included. The next one up from that would be an ensuite, a large ensuite room with its own built-in kitchen, and that would be called a studio room. And this would be a very good example of one. And the reason being is that the HMO market is maturing and has matured. The demographics of the people that would live in a house share has also matured. So now we're getting people that are opting to live in this type of accommodation in their 40s, 50s, and sometimes even 60s. And really, there's no reason not to, because you have your usual shared amenities. So you've still got your kitchen, your communal kitchen, your communal lounge, your sort of communal living spaces where you can socialize with other people. But at the same time, you also have your own private kitchen inside or attached to your bedroom. And after a while, generally speaking, people who have lived in house shares, they generally want to upgrade to their unit with their own private kitchen. And the reason for that has been, is because they've got to that stage whereby they don't necessarily want to share those facilities with other people, but they still want to socialize with other people, still be part of a community. And something like this sort of layout is really, really beneficial. It's something that people do want. Also, in an arrangement like this, bills are often also included. So a unit like that, for example, would be 800, 850. We actually go up to about 950 depending on the location. That's all bills included. So you've essentially got a self-contained flat, a self-contained accommodation with your own private kitchen, private bathroom in a nice area with all bills included. And with the cost of living these days, the cost of utilities, that works out a lot cheaper. It's a lot more cost effective than if that person was to go and rent their own flat or their own house, like a 1 or 2 bed house or flat. Because when you rent a 1 or 2 bed flat, although you've got the whole property to yourself, you still need to pay your council tax, your broadband, your gas, your electric, all your utilities, your water, all that sort of stuff, your council tax. Whilst the cost of renting, let's say, a 1 or 2 bed flat might only be, let's say, 900 to 1100, obviously depending on the area. Once you factor in all those utility costs, broadband and all that sort of stuff, council tax, all that sort of stuff, it actually, your total monthly spend actually goes up by quite a bit. And that does not everybody can afford that, and not everybody want to afford that. And that's why an option like these self-contained studios in a house share or co-living development is actually very helpful, as you can see here. So that we just saw the communal areas. It's got laundry room, utility room, sort of a communal kitchen for the heavy lifting for the cooking, washing, all that sort of stuff. It's got like a communal dining area. So for the heavy lifting when it comes to cooking and laundry, you can do that as well. But then you've also got the option of having your own private cooking area if you want that too. And a lot of people do, especially doctors and nurses. These sort of self-contained studios are really popular with doctors and nurses. So anyway, back to the costing. So, you know, you're paying, let's say, 900 to 1100 for a 1 or 2 bed apartment, plus bills and council tax. So that's going to be what, 1300, potentially 1400, 1400 all in a month for 1 or 2 people. You know, that's quite a lot. If it's 2 people, if it's your partner, that's fine, but you can break up. If you're single, that's really expensive. If you're single and you want to rent with a friend or a colleague, that's fine. But then when they leave, or if they leave, or, you know, if the relationship breaks down, then you're basically stuck. So yeah, you know, you don't always have that freedom. So a lot of people, normally in their 40s and above, like to go for an option like this, where it's essentially a self-contained studio. You've got your privacy and independence if you need it, but at the same time, you've also got the community, the communal kitchen, communal laundry, all that sort of stuff, and all bills are included. So financially, it makes a lot of sense, or it can make a lot of sense. You've got your privacy, freedom, and if you need to, you've also got the community aspect of it, and it's very affordable. So that's why I personally believe that, you know, the future of HMOs are these self-contained studios. You know, they have to be done to a good standard, obviously. In terms of rent, you probably get, we get about 100, 150, sometimes 200 above the equivalent room, equivalent ensuite room. So let's say if this room was an ensuite room, same size, all that sort of stuff, the rent would be about 100 to 200 pounds less, depending on the location and the size. The thing about these sort of room studios as well, sorry, I forgot to say, is that they must be large. So the room itself must be large. Otherwise, just stick to an ensuite room. But anyway, so from a developer or landlord's perspective, you know, it is worth converting large ensuite rooms or large rooms into studios. But obviously, make sure you meet the building regs and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah, as you can see it. The other advantage with studios as well, and it's actually quite an important advantage, important benefit, is that there is significantly less of a void time. So there's much less of a void period because of the demand of these properties, of these units, which, let's say, well, basically because of demand, because there's less studios available on the market, these generally go quicker. So they'll go into the market for about a week. So as opposed to, 3 weeks, as opposed to 2 or 3 weeks, which when you factor in the rent, that's a potential saving of what, £400, £500, which over time really adds up. So already you have to factor in that potential loss of rent when you are calculating your total return on the room. So as an example, this studio will go within the space of a week, compared to an ensuite, which might take, depending where it is, obviously, depend on 2 to 3 weeks. And so when you're losing equivalent of 2 weeks rent, which is half a month's rent, which, so let's say is £400, £300, £50, that all adds up. So yeah, the void period is something to consider, something to keep in mind. And the void period on studios are much less than they are on other types of room. But anyway, so what we're doing with our developments, so any HMO, like what Dan's doing essentially, any HMO room, an ensuite room that is large enough, so let's say roughly 18 meters squared, that doesn't have an ensuite, we will turn into studios. So an ensuite will be 2.5, 3 meters. So that will leave us about 15 meters. And then add a kitchen area and a sink. And that would take up that much. So it would probably leave us with about 13, it's minimum 13, but hopefully we'll have about 15 meter square of usable space. We'll convert all those rooms into studios. Obviously make sure it's all compliant, meets building regs and all that sort of stuff. Because that is the future. So any large room that we'll have in a HMO, we will convert into studios like these. And really the room would need to be about 18 meters squared minimum, that doesn't have an ensuite, or about 16 meters squared if it already has an ensuite. Dan's doing this. This is his one, as you can see. Okay, well, hopefully that's been helpful. If you don't know me already, my name's Nguyen. We let and manage high quality HMOs and single lets in and around Birmingham. And if you like this sort of stuff, don't forget to like and follow for more. All right, see you.